It's Garrett, yeah. Hey, yeah, I don't know if that's the original, but hey, Gary, man, thank you for calling me.
How you doing, Todd?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad.
Sorry to wake you up from your nap.
No, man, we were playing guitar.
Awesome. Well, I guess just to start, my first question is, what is the role of the troubadour in the digital age? Is it possible to be a troubadour in the 21st century?
Yeah, boy, as a young person, I wonder, depending on what you need, even when I was a kid, if you had a whole lot of material ambition, this isn't for you. But if you want to travel and meet a lot of people and drink free, this is still a good way to get around.
Yeah. Well, it's, like for myself as a writer, I knew going into this that like hell or high water, this is what I want to do. So everything else is just details after that point.
Right. That's what I think. And I feel like, yeah, right. In the arts, it's like you kind of got to go into it for the experience, for the art of it. You know what I mean?
Well, with your life, is truth truly stranger than fiction?
Sometimes it seems, just feels like we're always moving so much, and it's sort of always Saturday night, And so, yeah, it does seem like the memories pile up.
Well, it's one of those things too. I would say that, like the way I approach life is kind of like provoke the chaos. Like the more you interact with the universe, the more it interacts with you.
Yeah, that's like I made a couple of years ago. I tried to invent a game. I still will try to hopefully make it, but that's what it was. It was designed to do that.
Well, what do you do in the game?
Essentially, it was you're supposed to save the world, but it's like you don't play it against your friends. It's you and your friends against the world, and you go from your house to some place that you don't normally go, and you persuade a person there that you don't know to go somewhere else with you, and there you'll do something humiliating together, and thus you'll have won the game.
Well,
but it's all based. It's like there's this story that goes. It's like the history of rebellion from the Ten Commandments to Elvis to the Fonz up to today. So the game is sort of, it's complicated. Nobody understood it when I finished it.
Well,
I still think it works, but
I tell people, like I have a personal thing where every day I aim to have at least one or two conversations purposely with a complete stranger.
Right. I think that's what I like. And in our line of work, you don't have to try at all for that to happen. That just happens every day. Like really, if you're on the road, it's like being in a washing machine or being a pinball or something.
Well, I was while I was preparing for this interview, I've been rereading John Steinbeck's Travels with Charlie, if you've ever read that book.
I don't know that I have. Is that the one where he goes around with his dog?
Yeah.
I think, maybe I did. Yeah, I think I did.
Well,
my dog's with me.
Well, what's interesting about the book is that I haven't reread it since I was in my early 20s, so it's a whole different perspective as you get older, obviously, with some of these classics. But he was like in his late 50s, early 60s, and decided to go on the road to see if he had this itch to travel. And what he realizes that the itch has always been there, that it doesn't get quote unquote cured with age.
Yeah, I wonder how I read someone talk about the things that we find really relaxing are because we've done it in so many lives, like travel, look at the moon, sit by the ocean, core shit that you did and all. Well, that's a lot of hippie crap, but I don't know if I subscribe to it, but I like to sit around and bake late at night and hear about it.
Now, what was the best advice, either through action or words, that you carry with you now that you may have initially brushed off when it happened?
Yeah, that's a good one. Let's see. I think. Well, I'll tell you. When I was young, everyone told me that you had to have a manager that you really, really liked. That you wanted. That if you couldn't sit around and listen to records and drink wine with your manager, that you were sunk, and that not, that managers weren't what people say they were, and that when you're a young person and you get a record deal, just everybody that you know that's never been anywhere near the music business tells you that all those people that they're going to be shark-like or whatever, and so that stuff is like, I found that, like, they would say you have to be friends with your manager, and I never understood that until the guy that manages. I always liked my managers, but the guy that manages me now, Bert, he's been managing me for a while, and I couldn't pinpoint how, like, I can't say it. And then we came up with an idea for a bumper sticker, and I just remember, like, when he came into my life, and he became friends with me, and he it wasn't like going to work. I might just as easily call him about something else.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, all the rest of it got kind of simple.
Yeah.
Or started to.
Like, my publisher is one of my best friends. Like, we go drinking after work, and I feel weird when people have bosses or people they work with that they don't want to hang out with. It's like, that's a bummer.
Yeah, that, I think. And I think that especially if you're in your 20s. But I mean, my life in the not just on stage, but backstage too, I feel like I've been crazy lucky with the people that I've run into, and it's been such happenstance and so accidental, and weed and alcohol, just I don't know, lucky collisions. But that part of it, I feel like, I don't know, I like some of my favorite people work around bands,
Well, those situations and those people, like, I think about that too, like these happenstances where you meet these people and then, but totally by chance or coincidence, and then later in life you're like, I couldn't imagine not knowing that person.
Right. I've had a few of those in my life where. And you look back and at a certain age and like, how the hell did we eat every day all this time? Something happened.
But I feel too that you must be purposely or even subconsciously vulnerable to the cosmos, and if so, that brings these situations towards you.
Right, I hope so. I mean, if you're an acid person, and I kind of am, I'm like real into all that shit. But people don't like to hear about that.
Well, I mean,
I feel like, that stuff, all that Alan Watts stuff, I'm into all that.
Well, I've told people, like I said that, probably the most life-changing experience of my life was the first time I ever dropped acid. That was, to me, like, quote unquote, cracking the skull. Everything's different after that. In a lot of beautiful ways, everything's different,
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, and then there's this shit DMT, or that ayahuasca. I think those things are like religious more than like, I get partying. I haven't had a drink in a long time just because I might enjoy a beer at like a baseball park, but I don't like to go drink. I don't drink,
Yeah.
I'm more into, like that's not like acid or ayahuasca. That's not partying. That's a different thing. I guess you dance, but that's not necessarily partying either. That could be, both of those things could be considered religious.
Is there a point though, like in my experience doing acid over the years, not as much anymore, but there's a point now where your brain almost switches over to that perspective of childlike wonder and adventure when you're not on it.
I totally agree with that. I know people that microdose too for that reason, but I definitely think it's so funny. There's people that think the opposite, but I haven't. It's been a while since I've gone in, but months. But I do. I think I don't think it. I don't think you. I think you take something from them. I think you keep part of them.
Yeah.
I think, and I think they open the mind up to possibility of, I would, that sounds terrible, but in some other universe, it's something I would recommend.
Now,
in this universe, I recommend it. I just am aware of the basic ideals of the culture I'm growing up in.
Do you think that some of your inner drive to pursue what you want at the end of the day in terms of art comes from the idea that, if you were to take acid, that you have these conversations with yourself, that everything becomes clear, and then you have that focus when you come back out of where you were in?
Sure. Or sometimes I'll work on stuff like that, or I'll do shows like that. But yeah, I agree with that too.
So I recently interviewed Verlin Thompson, if you know who that is, the songwriter.
Oh, well, I love Verlin.
Yeah, he's such a treat to chat with, and he I'm going to read this quote that he gave me when I asked him about being a troubadour, and I wanted to know your thoughts on it. He said,
okay.
I don't have to worry about bands, egos, and other issues. I just show up in my own state of mind, and I know what that is, to give people a full evening of entertainment.
Yeah, I like him. I always have. Now, I always have wanted to be a professional, but it's never been something, of all my friends, I would love to say that, but I just don't have the track record for it. I just had too many. I've had too many years, and I'm not proud of it, but there's just been so many years in my life where I just couldn't even get over to the show. And I regret it because I love the show, but every once in a while there'd be some distraction, drugs or card game, or just I thought I had a story on the line or a song on the line, and I just get lost track of where I was. I think that I'd be a better performer if it's funny, just after we talk about acid, I'm starting to say it's hard for me to, I'm just not, it's been a long time since I think I've fucked the show up, but I've fucked shows up, or, missed them.